Earlier, STV's Holyrood editor Colin Mackay spoke to the First Minister for her reaction to the Supreme Court ruling.
Well, I'm disappointed in the ruling of the Supreme Court about the position of the devolved administrations. The Supreme Court has done its job. It's interpreted the law as it stands and said that the Sewell Convention is not legally enforceable. Now, that begs real questions for a UK government that said after the Smith Commission that in putting the Sewell Convention into statute, they were making it more meaningful and more important. If it's not legally enforceable, what was the point of putting it into statute? But of course, the ruling doesn't change the fact. In fact, it notes the political importance of the Sewell Convention. It also says that Brexit will impinge upon the devolved competencies of the Scottish Parliament, and therefore it is important that the Scottish Parliament gets the chance to have its say.
So does this take you even closer to independence referendum 2 then?
Well, I think it's becoming clearer every day now that Scotland's voice is not being heard and it's not being listened to within the UK. Now, I started down a process of seeking to find compromise and reasonable ground, ways in which we could square the circle between a UK government intent on Brexit and a Scottish government wanting to protect Scotland's interests and the way in which Scotland voted. And we'll continue to try to seek that compromise, but it's becoming ever clearer that there's a real question emerging for Scotland. Are we happy to have our future dictated by a Westminster government playing to the hard right Brexit opinion in its own party with only one MP here in Scotland, or do we want to take the future of our country into our own hands?
So tough talks ahead at the Joint Ministerial Council?
Well, I'll continue to do what I can to find a sensible compromise that allows us to square the circle of a UK-wide vote to leave and a Scottish vote to remain. The Scottish Government has been the one trying to be reasonable and to find common ground. But I don't think it's acceptable that we have a situation where Scotland's voice is simply cast aside. What's going to happen over the process of Brexit is going to have profound implications for our economy and our society, for every aspect of our life. And for Scotland simply to be ignored, I think, is not good enough. But it raises a much more fundamental question, much bigger than whether we're in or out of the EU. And that is who decides the big issues about the future of Scotland. Is that a Westminster government with one MP in Scotland, or is that the people of Scotland? And that's a choice that I think increasingly emerges.
So why don't we just go on with the referendum?
Well, I've made my views clear, I've made the process clear, and I'll continue to stand up for Scotland's interests.